Not that obvious.
What was the other thing?
You were a student?
Yeah, student. You said student. Unfortunately, I'm out of school at this point, but trained illustrator.
And you were Canadian.
Oh, and Canadian, yeah, which is pretty easy to pick.
Okay, and so why are you really here?
Mostly interest in the nonviolent movement. I think it's been really high. Any kind of like protest movements have been really suppressed in the last few years. And
There's a bit of nostalgia for the dial-up crowd. It ceases when you want. Okay, thank you. Welcome, Matt.
Officer Matt.
Yes, so Julia, that's you. Yeah, tell us about you, Julia.
Well, actually, I'm 75.
Oh,
But I am retired. And I have 2 children, not just one. I'm divorced, and I'm straight. Well, why am I here? I think really it's similar to learn about nonviolence. Because we're such a violent society.
great. Thank you so much, Julia.
Oh, and I'm Jean.
Thank you, Jean. Okay, now we just dying to find out about Simone.
So am I! I feel like I just had like a past life stretch for me or something. So, wow, so thank you. This is really fun, isn't it? So my name is Victoria. I am not 24, I'm 26. I'm not in a serious committed relationship. But I'm not married and I don't have children. What else did we touch on? Parents. Oh, my parents. My dad did instill in me a commitment to learning, and money and frugality were definitely part of how I was raised. My mother doesn't work in the service industry. She is a white-collar worker, office worker. My dad actually works with his hands. He's an industrial mechanic. So, and he did not complete university. Neither one of my parents have. They have college education. Why I'm here?
Background.
Oh, the background. My mother's European. My mother's Italian. Oh, and you said before you thought I tried to learn French. Yeah, that did. I sort of crashed and burned on French. Why I'm here? Yeah, not so much frustration. I've grown out of that. It's really more. I came here looking for training, and I came here looking to go to workshops where it was actually filling the toolbox. Yeah. So I think class, middle class.
Okay,
cool.
So welcome, Victoria. I think that's so. And is there anyone else who just wants to put out there an interesting, discombobulating? I liked what you had to say about the two of you, the experience that you had. Is there anybody else who just wants to talk about how that felt? Yeah.
I was just really uncomfortable with making all these assumptions because I've been doing a lot of personal work to stop making those judgments and to be to reach a level of self-awareness as to when I was creating a story and interpretation about someone, which then would affect how I interacted with them. So I actually found myself at a loss. I was like, okay, where do I think you were? There were some things that were very natural for me to make an assumption about, but then other things are like, I just have no idea. And I was scared to kind of go there. I was scared to have to try to impose myself on this person this way.
Very, very tricky territory, and I have a story to tell. I'm going to be telling stories every once in a while. We'll be doing training and tools, but stopping and telling a story with Sharon.
I was very uncomfortable with it because I had to guess, like Canadian or my knowledge of Middle East and wherever other parts of the world. Am I going to insult him? Which one am I going to least insult him with? And then what work he does? How could I possibly know? You know that they have a PhD sitting there, like we don't know. And in the end, I thought none of it matters. I just have to take my issue. So I didn't like going through this exercise. I don't know what it. I'd rather not look at any of those things and just go forward with what I want to, the change I want to see.
Okay. Yes.
Out of all questions that you presented, we can ask, we can see like
There are a few people who are hard of hearing, so everybody make sure that you do keep
out of
your
all
voice up.
these questions that you said we can think about or ask about the one thing only came to my mind without thinking was names. And the names that I know and I like them, and I can make kind of like a similarities to them. And it was interesting for me that how you just, second of thinking.
It was right there. Yeah. Okay.
Any
other comments or reflections? In a bit, we're going to talk about what difference does it make. Yes. And say your name. We are going to just make sure that we've got around the room and make sure that we all have captured our own name.
I think it's interesting how, for me, in my experience, there's this projection of idealism that comes through, like my projection of like, maybe to some extent what I would be like in the future if I was looking at this person, like what I would be if I were in their shoes, or what my concerns are that comes out in the reflection. Like, definitely for her, there's a romanticization, it's like a little I feel like I was put into a little romantic story about this beautiful young woman who's like, and then like how our projections come through about like, and of like, about what it is that we think of people, and what our fears are, and what our hopes are.
What our fears and our hopes are. Yeah, and you are?
My name's YP.
YP, and you are?
Jonathan.
Jonathan.
And I was just wondering what the goal of this exercise is.
Okay.
I don't know if you touched on it, but...
So what do people feel might have been the purpose of a tool like this? Sharon?
Judgmental. A lot of these things are all judgmental. They're negative.
No, I don't.
Most of
Yes.
That most of the time we make mistakes in our social interaction because we think people are one way, but in reality they're not the way we perceive them. Even when we're talking to them, even when we have a relationship, we might be wrong in many ways. So, but we know that already by now.
Okay, yes.
I guess sometimes too that it's really hard to even use these classifications. Like we still do because we're trying to gain an understanding of the other. But like I'm also mixed race, and I come from a family where like my mom is on disability, my dad's on basic pension, but the other side of my family was in Forest Hill. So even class, like I'm in the middle. Like I can't even, like one side is beyond below working class and the other side is rich. And so like sometimes some people don't fit. Naomi?
Naomi, and you are?
Bianca.
Bianca.
My name is Julia, and it's a little bit like classification as to, putting somebody in a box, like are you straight or you're gay, are you middle class, upper class, do you have a job, you don't have a job, do you have education, you don't have education, so it's a little bit like but you're a human being, you're just from this planet, so what does it make me? Does it make me better if I'm straight? Does it make me better if I speak 5 languages? Does it make me better that I have a PhD? I don't know. Maybe we all society creates all these judgments around all these issues, and we like to have classifications, diagrams, and comparisons.
Okay, I see. Yes. Okay.
My feeling about this, I kind of enjoyed this exercise from the point of view of, like, I do think these kinds of variables and factors, like, they matter. Like, of course they matter in society. Like, I'm not saying that its actual ways of ranking better or not better, but like obviously privilege kind of cleaves along these lines a lot of times. And I felt it was, for me, what was so neat about it was an opportunity to just sort of notice my own assumptions, right? Because, like, I mean, the truth is we'll walk around and we'll make assumptions about all kinds of people, like whether we're sitting on the subway or having a conversation with them. And to have that opportunity to really notice the assumptions I'm making, the big long story I'm making is kind of neat. So.
Randall and then Georgie?
Oh, just to tie from the last workshop here about communication. It helps me unlearn that judgmental, that tiring judgmental approach on seeing the world. And you don't have to, just see them. And yeah, you can judge them, you can kind of play in your head, but hey, why don't you spend time actually getting to know that person instead of just judging?
I think that's very, very interesting. Hold on to that. Jordan.
What I got out of this exercise is my extreme need to know. And if I don't know, I'll make it up. It reminds me of the Yogi Berra one-liner when he said, what screws us up in life is not the things we don't know, but the things we think we know that ain't so.
Yeah.
Some of you will have seen the image of, the iceberg. And this is what we actually see. This is Randall with his hair and his toque and his very cool scarf and the pendant around his neck. Very interesting. And he's wearing yellow sneakers. And okay, so that's what we see. And but what we do then is just assume, oh, he's this, he must be this. So even though we don't actually know that, this is all we know, and the rest of it is speculation.
Yeah.
So if we are organizing to do something together, and you are imagining that you have just walked into this room with this particular group of people, and you have a bunch of tasks that you want done, how is what we have just experienced about assuming this, how does that have an impact on what we do, how we organize ourselves? What things are we seeing in the other that we see as valuable, or not valuable, or pigeonholable? We've got these particular tasks, and she looks like she'd be the one who would do that task. How do I know that?
Yeah.
Who are the leaders in the room? How do we know that? Yes, Bianca.
But isn't that true that anybody who's going to do that kind of work, you first listen to their experience, like people will identify and say, well, what have you done in your life, what have you done recently in relation to this and that? So isn't that one of the first things? I think the exercise that we did for this group, I think half the group here are in that type of work, so they already know everything that you just said, in my opinion. I might be wrong.
Do I see another hand up over here? Cam, did you? Yes.
I think it's more important to just listen to what people have to say instead of asking them what qualifies you to say those things. Just listen to what they say and make a judgment as to whether they're right and whether they have a point or not.
And I've forgotten your name.
Jonathan.
Thank you. Okay. Sharon?
Yeah, I would say putting the tasks out there and let people volunteer, because there's too many times that I've been wrong. So what's the point? So if you put it out there and people volunteer, they've got an interest. They might not do the best job. Maybe the loudest person won't do the best job for what the different task is, but they volunteer.
I hear where you're coming from, but this is the thing that I think of. I think of it in terms of equity and access. And a person who